Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Giuseppe here, your host for tonight. So, welcome to my webinar. Let's wait for a few people to join and then we can start. Hello. Welcome to my webinar. It's 8 o'clock. We wait for 3 or 4 minutes and then we can start. In the meantime, people on the call, if you want to write in the chat where you are calling from, so at least we know where we are in England and we start knowing each other a little bit. So on the right side of the screen, there is an icon called chat. Feel free to open it and write where you are calling me from. As I said, let's wait for 4 or 5 minutes and then we can kick this webinar off officially. Let's give people a little bit of time to join and then we can go for it. Excellent. Hi, Anita. Hello from London. Excited for the webinar. I'm glad you are. I'm equally excited. And yeah, have you ever done any rent-to-rent HMO before? I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your journey so far in property. Feel free to do so. And as I said, let's give 4 or 5 minutes to the people to join and then we can start. Excellent. Few people are joining. Well done, Anita. Got 2 rent-to-rent essays and looking to rent-to-rent HMO. So you are exactly in the right webinar today. Hopefully, I will be able to give you some tips and indication on how to do that, and some motivation to do that as well. So, yeah, well done on you. Come on, guys, don't be shy. Do like Anita. Feel free to write and share where you're calling from and a little bit about your journey. Let's wait for a few minutes and then we can start. Excellent. And a couple of people have joined. As I said, let's wait till 5 past 8, 6 past 8, and then we can start. Okay? Good. Excellent. Let me check a couple of messages on social media. And then a couple of minutes and we start. Promise. Good. Another couple of people have joined. If you guys are happy to share, like Anita, where you are calling from and a little bit of your journey, let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes and then we will kick this one off officially. Okay. There is a chat box on the right side of the screen. Feel free to use it. Don't be shy. Anita set the scene. Oh, somebody else. Darren. Hello, my friend. You're in Spain as well, from Alicante. Excellent. I hope you're enjoying it. I like when people join from abroad as well. So let's create an international environment here. So I would say, because it's 6 minutes after 6, we can kick this one off. So welcome to my webinar, How to Build a 6-Figure Rent-to-Rent HMO Portfolio. My name is Giuseppe Leone, and I'm specialized in rent-to-rent HMO. Today, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to introduce myself and share my journey so far. Then I will give you an overview about what rent-to-rent HMO strategy is, how you can use it, how I did use it. There will be some case studies as well. And then I will share with you my top 5 tips to build a successful rent-to-rent HMO business so that you can potentially, if you want, replace your salary. And then at the end of this presentation, I will show you how I can help you to succeed if that's what you want. As I said earlier, there is a chat box on the right side of the screen. Please write there any questions you may want to ask me. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to go through all the questions and answer all of them. Just want to apologize in advance. I've got a really bad cold. So we need on a regular basis to stop and drink some hot drinks just to rest my throat. But I was very close to cancel this presentation, but I thought it was good to do it. So, but again, apologies for my voice today. Okay, so let's kick this one off. So a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Giuseppe Leone. I'm Italian. Work-wise, 7 years ago, I was full-time employee for Shell, the oil company. I worked for them for 19 years. But 6 weeks ago, I managed to relocate myself and my family to Mallorca. So this building here is where I'm making this presentation from. So this is a beautiful beach on one of the most beautiful beaches in Mallorca. So how did I do that? First of all, I'm sharing this one not because I want to show off, but the key reason why I'm sharing my journey is because I want to motivate you. I want to show you that if somebody, like me, not super smart with a silly accent, but very, very determined, can make it. All you guys on this call here can make it. In fact, you can do even much better than I did. Okay, so I will share with you during this presentation how I did it and tips for you guys to implement straight away. So what has happened in my journey? So as I said, I worked for Shell for 19 years. And in 2014, while I was still working for Shell, I decided that I want to create a side hustle that hopefully was going to become my full-time job. So at that time, I didn't have a lot of money upfront. So I decided to look for a strategy which did not require a lot of money upfront. And I discovered rent-to-rent. To be honest, at the beginning, when I read it on internet, I thought it was a little bit of a scam. I said, sounds too good to be true. But as usual, when I take a decision based on my own experience. So I decided to invest money and time to attend a crash course on rent-to-rent, just to understand if it's really something that was fit for my goals. And luckily, I went to that course and I completely fell in love with this strategy. So during these years, I not only, as you will hear soon, replaced my salary, but I also decided to further increase my portfolio, rent-to-rent portfolio, because the long-term goal that you all need to have, as I did, is to own the properties. So, apologies. So rent-to-rent is great for cash flow, but you don't own the asset, as you will hear soon. But in the long term, you want to aim to own the assets, because then you will appreciate, you will enjoy the appreciation of the asset in the long term, and then you can pass it over to your bloodline if you want to do so. Okay, and so from 2017 to 2021, using some money from rent-to-rent profit, I also build my own HMO portfolio using the strategy BRRR: buy, refurbish, refinance, and rent it out. And then from 2019 to today, I've been teaching people what I'm still doing today, how to run a successful rent-to-rent business. Still today, 11 years since I started, I'm still working my rent-to-rent HMO business. So I teach you what I do every single day, what I've been doing every single day for the last 11 years. Okay, so as I said, if you've got any questions, please put them into the chat box, and I will reply to them later during the presentation. So what is rent-to-rent? Rent-to-rent basically means you rent a property from a landlord, and then you re-rent it to your clients, to your tenants. And you have got the control of the property, and you can benefit from the cash flow coming out of it, but you don't own the asset. Who are the players in this setup? It's you in the middle, property manager, and what is your goal is to make sure that your suppliers, as I call them, your landlords, enjoy the benefits of a hassle-free experience. Because us as a rent-to-renter, that's what we promise to the landlord. We say, you work with us, and you will have guaranteed rent, hassle-free situation. You can really start to enjoy the benefits of your investment, your assets. And then on the other side, you have got your clients, your tenants. And I call them clients because they are the people who are going to give you the money. Okay, so for me, my clients are more important than my suppliers. And in fact, you will need much more clients than supply. You will need a handful amount of landlords, but you will need hundreds and hundreds of tenants. And only if you make sure that yourself, your landlords, and your tenants, everybody's happy. If it's a win-win situation for the three of you in this game, then everybody will have a great experience, and it will be a successful story. Okay, so your job is really to make sure that the landlord and the tenants, both of them, are very happy with your job. Okay, rent-to-rent, as you might know, you can do it in two ways: service accommodation or housing multiple occupation. Today, we are going to talk about HMO, housing multiple occupation, which is what I've been doing for the last 11 years. During my 11 years in properties, I also tried service accommodation at the beginning. I did it for 9 months, roughly, and I didn't like it. I'm not saying that it's wrong, because there are people, even on the call here, who are making very good money out of it. But for me, the reason why I didn't like it is mainly for two reasons. First of all, you cannot assess and check in detail who is going to leave your property, even for one night, for a couple of nights, and so on. And during my 9 months, I had a lot of very good guests, but I also was called by the police 3 times, okay, because I had some pretty chicken dodgy people there, okay, and I didn't like that. And the second thing that I didn't like it is you cannot predict 100% how much money you're going to make every single month. So you might have some spikes and troughs of profitability. And having a family, I didn't want to have ups and downs in my bank account. I really want to have as much as possible stability in my bank account. And that's what, in my opinion, HMO can give to you. Okay, so today we are going to talk just about HMOs. Okay, as I said, if you got any questions, please ask them in the chat box. Okay, So how does rent-to-rent work? You basically rent a house from a landlord, okay? And then you guarantee to the landlord that you will not have any voids, they will not miss any payments, and you will take on costs like bills and maintenance. And then you rent it out to your tenants, okay? And so, for example, this is a house where you got 5-bedroom house that you pay to the landlord £1,150 per month, and then you re-rent to your clients this 5-bedroom at £600 each. So you will have a rental income of £300, £3,000. So from this £3,000, you deduct the rent to the landlord, plus you deduct all your expenses, which are gas, electricity, water, broadband, insurance, maintenance, and cleaning, and what is left is your profit. And you will see that ideally you want to have a profit of at least £500 per month, okay? Personally, my minimum profit I want to have is £600, but that's really a decision of each of you guys, if you prefer having a lower profit or a higher profit, okay? So you can see if you got £500 as your profit, how many houses you need to replace, a normal standard salary in UK. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you got 5, you can make £2,500 per month. Okay, who would be happy with that? Okay, it's amazing how £2,500 can really change your life, and that's only this is only with 5 properties. So that's what I'm trying to describe today. You will see some more example later, that you don't need to build a massive portfolio to replace your salary or even to build your own portfolio, okay? So that's the myth that you need to take out of your head, okay? Mary, do you inform the landlord that you will be rented the house? Absolutely, yes. You need to have the approval from your landlord, and this is one of the things where sometimes it's a deal breaker because the landlord doesn't want you to rent it to shares, okay? And the other thing you need to do with the lenders, if they accept to sign a contract with you, you need to make sure that they've got the correct mortgage, if there is a mortgage. So they need to have a mortgage that allows for sharers to live in the property, and they need to have the correct insurance, okay? The building insurance that, again, allows you guys to rent the property to sharers. You want to have evidence of that one, because without that one, if the landlord defaults any payment, then you will lose your house, okay? So this is an example of one of my ex-mentees, Melissa. Melissa is a GP in London, so really, really busy. 3 kids in London, so you cannot make it more difficult than that one. And she started a mentoring with me a few years ago, and this is one of her example of HMO where she's making, as I said, in London, almost £1,000 per month just with one property. So can you see, in my example early, it was a gross profit of half of it. If you make a profit of £1,000 to replace your £2,500 salary, you need 2 properties. So it's not a big deal, okay? And so this is a clear example where people say, I don't have time, I'm busy. This lady cannot be busier than anyone else, okay? But she made it. And the reason why she made it is because she took actions every single day. She followed the instruction, the training, and she took action, and that's the result, okay? So there is not magic formula. It's just a matter of taking actions on a regular basis, okay? Every single day, you want to take actions. It's much better to take 10, 15 minutes action every day instead of just doing nothing for 1 or 2 weeks and then lock yourself in a room for 1 week, for 1 day. That will not take you further than what I just said. Small actions every single day, okay? So why did I choose rent to rent? So the way I I was taught about choosing the right property strategy, and the way I teach as well is the strategy needs to deliver the goals that you have got in mind. So rent to rent, for me, I gave to rent to rent 4 goals. The first one was to replace my and my wife Gilly corporate salary, and as you have heard, we achieved that by 2017. So in less than 3 years, we replaced 2 big corporate salaries straight away. Then in phase 2, what we wanted is not only to give us the money to live the life we wanted, but also to give us extra cash that we could invest then in buying our own portfolio. And as you have heard at the beginning, we achieved that from 2017 to 2021. Now, where we are now, we are in phase 3. So now our portfolio is giving us the money to live the life we want. It allows us to relocate to here, to this magical island in Spain, okay? But the money that, the profit that is coming from rent to rent, now we are using it to pay down the debts, the mortgages of our portfolio. Because in the long term, what you want to have is you want to have a portfolio which is mortgage free. And based on my Excel spreadsheet, that's phase 4, we will achieve that within 5 years. So in 5 years' time, in theory, based on this plan, all my portfolio will be debt free, and then I will be able to do exactly that one. That's me and my dad last summer in Sardinia. We were on the beach, and I want to spend time spending it with my family and so on instead of working. Can you see? So rent to rent, people think, oh, it's just a cash flow strategy, is a basic strategy, is a strategy just for beginner. But if you use it in a sophisticated way, in a strategic way, as it is on the screen now, you can achieve much more than just replacing your salary. Okay. So do you acquire this property with an existing valid HMO license? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. If there is already an HMO license in place, that's quite easy to discuss with the landlord. And we said that usually the landlords who owns already licensed HMO are a little bit more sophisticated, so they tend to negotiate a higher rent usually. But there are areas where even if you have got 4 sharers, you might not need a license. And that's the way I started. So I started 11 years ago in Bristol, where I used to turn a family home, a 4-bedroom house, or a 3-bedroom house with 2 reception rooms, as you will hear soon, into a 4-bedroom house, and then I put there some sharers. Okay, so sometimes, as I said, back to you, Sue, sometimes already licensed HMO, the vast majority is not already licensed, and that's a discussion we need to make with the landlord. And obviously, you need to check that in the area where you want to invest is not Article 4, which means that the council very unlikely will give you planning permission to get an HMO license. Okay. So, what type of properties you should look for? So, ideally, you want to have 4+ bedroom. My sweet spot is 5 bedroom. That's really the vast majority of my portfolio. And in fact, the best one for me is for those 5-bedroom houses which have got license for 6 people. And what I do is, if there is an ensuite bathroom, I tend to put in the room with the ensuite bathroom a couple. So I really maximize the number of people living there according to the HMO license. And that's really where I make the most of my money. I've got a few 4-bedroom houses. The good news about those one are very easy to rent, because the smaller are the HMOs, the more appealing they are to sharers. But from a profitability point of view, the margin are quite squeezed. And then I've got a few 6-bedroom, which from a profitability point of view, on the other side, they are really, really good. But I find it more difficult to rent them because most of the tenants don't want to live with a lot of people around them. Okay. Then ideally you want to have 2 reception rooms so that you can turn 1 reception room into another bedroom. And so you really want to remember you don't own the asset. So what you need to do is you need to maximize the space in this house without having to invest a lot of money because it's not your home. Okay. And then you really want to have it close to transports and close to shops, because the vast majority of the tenants don't have a car. Okay, at least in my case, I've got hundreds and hundreds of tenants. Very, very likely they've got a car. Okay, so they want to be able to walk to the shop. I know that there is Deliveroo and there is Ocado and this kind of stuff, but they want to walk to the shop if possible, and they want to have a bus station or underground station if you're in London at a walking distance, so they can go everywhere very, very easy. What it might work is if you've got only 1 reception room, but then you've got a very big kitchen, which you can transform into an open plan kitchen, dining, and living room. That could work, but you need to make sure that you have got enough space to accommodate the people you want. So if you got a license, you need to have a specific amount of square foot available as a communal area, where communal area means kitchen, dining room, and living room. Okay, so only if you've got a kitchen which is big enough and fits with the criteria of the HMO license, then you can have an open plan kitchen, diner, and living room. Okay, and then sometimes you may want to convince the landlord to do a big refurb, but then in that case you make sure that the landlord pays for it. And what you can do is you can have the landlord to manage the refurb, so you can make money even as a project manager. And then you will have, at the end of the project, you will have a house which is beautifully refurbished, exactly the way you needed, and then you can rent it out to your tenants, and you will have very, very little maintenance because it's basically a brand new house, and it will be beautiful as well. So if you manage to convince the landlord to do a refurb and pay for it, you have really won the lottery. Okay. So, sorry, just a second. In the meantime, if you've got any question, write them in the chat box. I need to blow my nose. I'm really sorry about that. So, this strategy is for you if you have got some money. So, a lot of people think, oh, if for rent to rent, you don't need money. No, that's not right. You need to have some money. It's not a lot. As you will see from my case study, you need an average of £5,000, but you still need that money. It might not be your money as long as you've got access to that money, but you need to have a little bit of money. Okay? Then you want to do it as a side hustle at the beginning. Okay? So my strong recommendation is if you are in a job, don't quit it. Even if you don't like it, don't quit it until you have set up your rent-to-rent business, and your rent-to-rent business being running for at least 1 year. If anything else, the fact that you have got a full-time job with a pay slip will help you then to pass all the references that you will need to pass when you rent a property as a rent-to-renter. Okay? And then, very, very importantly, you need to ideally to create extra cash, as I did, to then grow your own portfolio. As you heard early in my presentation, that's exactly what I did. And in terms of finding this new portfolio, sometimes you can buy your own rent-to-rent property. So rent-to-rent is a great strategy. It goes very well hand in hand with also lease option strategies, where basically lease option, just in 2 seconds, is basically you agree a purchase price with the owner to purchase that property at that specific price, but in the future. Usually it's 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And in the meantime, you can rent it. So if you do that, you have got double benefits, because you will benefit from your monthly cash flow during the rent-to-rent setup. And then eventually, if you think it's still the right things to do, at the end of the lease option agreement, when it's 3, 4, 5 years, you can acquire your own property, so you can increase and build your own portfolio. In the last 11 years, I bought 6 of my rent-to-rent properties. So I really love that. But I didn't look like that 11 years ago, okay? I look much younger and with less gray hair. And the reason for that is because it's not a plain sale. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotion. And the only way to survive is doing exactly this one. These are the first 3 words that my kids have learned. They've learned these 3 words before saying mommy and daddy, because that's really the base to succeed, okay? Having said all of that, not only you need some money, you need to have this aptitude, but also you need to have some time, okay? So in the first year, I used to spend, while I was working full-time still for Shell, and my wife as well was working for another company, I was dedicating an average of 10 hours a week working on this business. And you should see carefully, 10 hours a week is not a huge amount of time. It's an hour and a bit, an hour and a half per day, which, by the way, you don't need to spend in one shot. So the way I used to do it, I used to spend half an hour in the morning, half before going to the office, half an hour lunchtime, and then half an hour at the end of the day. And then obviously when you get the keys of the house, you will have some spike of activity. So I was working much longer than those 10 hours. But then when the house is up and running, all furnished with all the tenants in, that's the time, the amount of time you need. So again, you don't need thousands of hours. You don't need a lot of money to do it, but you still need to commit to do something every single day. Okay? Mary, do you rent already furnished apartment? Do you rent empty houses and furnish them, or both? So it depends. If I look at my last 11 years, I would say 70% of the cases I rented empty houses, and so I had to buy my own furniture. So in that £5,000 that I mentioned earlier in terms of investment, I would say the vast majority of money is usually for buying furniture. Then you can have other 2 scenarios. The best scenario is when the house is beautifully furnished already, okay? And to me, that happened once in 11 years. So I will show you the house later, and this was a house that was perfect. I didn't need to do anything. I just turned the key to open the front door and I put my tenants in, okay? But that unfortunately doesn't happen very often. However, the worst case scenario, and this is one of the most common deal breaker for me, is that the house is very badly furnished. So it's furnished with furniture which will not suit my target tenants, okay? So I know exactly that if I keep that furniture there, the tenants I want to target will not be happy to live in my house. And so they will not rent it at the price I want. So when that happens, I have to have a tough discussion with the landlord and convince the landlord that he or she needs to take all that furniture out of the house. And if they say no, unfortunately, you have to walk away, okay? And unfortunately, I had to do it a few times, which was really, really annoying because the house was perfect in terms of layout, location, price, everything. But because of that furniture, I couldn't rent it with what they call it in a joking way, with a granddad armchair. It didn't fit my my type of tenants. Okay. So back on here, when I said that you never give up, this is an example of one of my mentees, one of my first mentees, Paul, and he, when he met me, he is in bus, and he said, I'm really struggling to find opportunities, and I know that there are there, but I keep getting rejection, and I really want to give up. Okay, so we had a clear discussion and say, okay, how many rejection can you cope to manage before you give up? And he told me, I'm prepared to get up to 40 rejections. So what we did together is we created this table. This was reality an A4 piece of paper where we created 40 boxes like this, and we called it the rejection table. And I told Paul, I said, put that rejection table, that piece of paper, on the wall where you work. And every time you have a negotiation with the landlord, if you get a rejection, put an X. Like the people in jail that they count the days to get out. That's exactly the same. And we all agreed that he was not going to give up until he had put an X in box number 40. And as you can see here, look when he got to the first yes. The first yes in the offer number 37. Okay, so, and he told me, only thanks to this very simple piece of paper on the wall, I didn't give up, because otherwise I would have given up much, much earlier. So remember that it's a numbers game. Okay, you need to do weekly calls every single week. You need to call all your letting agent, all the landlord every single day. You need to look on Rightmove, Zoopla, all the channel you are following to find properties, and every single day you need to pick up the phone. Okay, it's a numbers game. This is a clear an exception, but usually every 10 calls you make, you get 1 or 2 yes. Okay, so the success rate is between 10 and 20%. Okay, and the key thing here is you need to build a massively strong relationship with letting agencies and landlords. This is a people business. Okay, I know that we are talking about properties, but the ingredient to make it or not make it is all down to how good or bad you are in building and nurturing strong relationship with letting agencies, landlords, and your tenants. Okay, so hopefully this rejection table have given you a little bit of, desire to go out and go for it. As I said, it's not an easy game, especially the first one is always the most difficult one. What you will find is, as Paul found out, is once he got the first one, then he start flying. And today he has got a very successful business, not only in Bath, but he has also gone into Cheltenham. And so he's expanding his wings around England. But that's thanks to this rejection table and thanks to the first yes he got after 37 doors on his nose. Okay. So while I drink a little bit of water, because I'm losing my voice, unfortunately, apologies again. If you want to have a clarity call with me in the next couple of days, there are 7 spaces available, and scan this code here and book it tonight. And this offer expires on the 30th of September. So while I'm drinking, if you want to do that, and then in 2 minutes we'll start again. And in the meantime, if you've got other questions, put them in the chat and we'll reply very, very soon. Okay, so a couple of questions in the meantime. Mary, how do you search for apartment to rent? So there are various ways to do it, either directly from landlord or through letting agencies. I will set up a audio event on LinkedIn in a couple of weeks' time to discuss exactly about this one. And but basically, you need to build a relationship with letting agency and landlord, and through standard channels, which are Zoopla, OpenRent, Rightmove, Facebook, and other systems like that. There is one way that is completely thinking out of the box. You may want to discuss with gas engineers if you can do a referral fee. So the way I do it is, if you think carefully, every single house that is rented, which has got a boiler in it, that boiler must be serviced by a gas engineer every single year. And the owner of that property is to provide to the tenants a valid gas certificate every single year. So by default, your gas engineer will have in their books, in terms of clients, mainly landlords. So what I do with my gas engineer, I agree on a referral fee with them and say, if you gas engineer put me in touch with your clients, i.e. your landlord, and that landlord will sign a rent-to-rent deal with me. I will give you a referral fee. You can choose what you want to give them. So you can give them a Marks and Spencer voucher or some money, whatever you want. Something that will motivate them to give you contacts with their network so that you can find directly lenders. Okay. So how can you do this outside of your geographical area? Well, everything is possible, especially because we got technology. But definitely you need to have also people with boots on the ground, so local people. The way I strongly recommend is, if you can, build your portfolio as close as possible to where you live or where you work. I'm very lucky. I used to live in Bristol, in a part of Bristol where I could build all my portfolio within 5 minutes drive from my house. So I appreciate it, was very, very lucky. Okay. And sorry, I got distracted 1 second. You should do it on your geographical area, but if that one doesn't work, you need to start going further out till you find the right place to invest. In order to find the right way to invest, what you need to do is you need to do what is called Goldman area exercise, where basically this is one of the things that I teach my mentoring. I give you a template where you capture 7 pieces of data, and then you put all this data together, and then at the end you understand if it's the right area or not. If your area is all in Article 4 like Wales, that is more complicated, but it's not impossible, because if you think carefully, so if it's Article 4, it means that usually 10% of the properties in that area are already licensed HMOs. Okay, and if that happens, it means that there are already a lot of licensed HMO. So what you need to do is you need to change the way you look for property. So you need to look for already licensed HMO. So there are strategies, marketing strategy, that allow you to do that. And what you will not be able to do is to turn a family home into an HMO, unless you are lucky enough to get planning permission. Personally, I'm not against Article 4. The reason for that is because a lot of people, when they read Article 4, they run away from that area as quickly as they can, which means that by default, if you stick to that area, okay, if you use the right marketing strategy to find those already licensed HMO, you will have much less competition. Okay, so that's the plus of an Article 4. Okay, in terms of systems that I use a CRM system called Podio. I use WhatsApp a lot, and then I also I've got, as I said, boots on the ground. Physically now, we are in Mallorca. Our portfolio is still in Bristol. We've got a person who works with us, who is our boots on the ground, and then we've got a power team there of trade people who we can call, because we have been working with them for many years, and ask them to do any maintenance we need to. Okay? Mary, I'm really sorry that this is not working. I'm going very soon, as soon as I do another break, put a link in the chat so you can use that one. It's very, very strange. So the system is called, let me write it here, Podio. So I put it in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So top tips. So these are my 5 top tips. One of them I've already mentioned them. So how you can contact direct lender. So as I said, the first one is through gas engineer. So you need to offer to gas engineers a referral fee, which will motivate them to put you in touch with their clients, the landlords. Okay, and so in order to find those gas engineer, you can do a couple of things. First of all, you might have used a gas engineer to certify that to service your boiler in your home. So you can call that person, and that's the ideal situation because you have got already the relationship with that person. If you don't know any gas engineer, you call all your friends and family and say, do you know any good gas engineer you can put me in touch with? And if yes, you give them a call, go for a meeting. I am a big believer of coffee meetings. You go to a coffee shop and you discuss all of that, and you pitch your referral scheme to them. The second one is, if you want to attract a licensed HMO lender, so if you are in Article 4, you can send them letters. And this is a strategy very common, everybody knows about that. But I found a way to increase the chances to get that letter read. Because if you think carefully, when you get your post, your mail, if you see colored letters, or envelopes, which is what the vast majority of rent-to-renters do. They put that letter into a green envelope or in a red envelope and so on. You know already that that letter is a marketing spam. So most of the times you don't even open it. You put it straight in the bin. But there is one color letter or envelope which you never ignore. And this is the brown letter. Because the brown letter means that either you got a fine because you were speeding up your car, or it's a letter from HMRC, from the taxman. And both those situations, you don't put them in the bin. You open that letter. So when I send the letters to licensed HMO lenders, I always put them into brown letters, because in that way I know that at least that letter will be, that envelope will be open and that letter will be read at least. So in this way, I increase my chances to pitch in front of the lender, because he or she will have opened that envelope. Okay? Do you like it? Put some comments in the chat box if you like it. The second tip is bills. So when you talk with the lender, you tell the lender that you will pay all the bills. And the bills are council tax, water, internet, TV license, gas, and electricity. Since day one, when I put a room on the market, the price includes the rent of the room, obviously, and all these bills except for gas and electricity. So I never pay gas and electricity in my house. And I know that that can sound really strange to you guys, but I've been doing this for 11 years. And the reason why I don't do that is because if you look carefully on all of these expenses or these bills, the first four, they are all fixed cost. So whatever is the usage, apart from water sometimes is on the meter, but if it's fixed price, it's fixed, okay? So it doesn't matter how much your tenants are using these services, you always pay the same amount of money, okay? While gas and electricity are paid based on the usage from your tenants. And I don't want to spend all my day checking how much my tenants are using gas and electricity. So the way I sell it to my tenants is say, well, I don't charge you gas and electricity in my rent. You need to pay for gas and electricity, because if I was going to include gas and electricity in the price, I would inflate that expense, because I don't know how much gas and electricity you are going to use. So I need to protect myself. Okay. But in this way, I give you tenants the control of that cost. So if you want to stay with 3 jumpers in the house and no heating, you pay according to your behavior. If you want to be in the shorts in December because you have worked the heating to 30 degrees, you pay according to that behavior. But you are in control of that cost. So your behavior directly impacts your bank account. And people tend to like it. And the other good things about this strategy here is that because you don't include gas and electricity, the nominal price of the room is cheaper than your competitors who need to include gas and electricity. So when potential tenants look for a room in a spare room, they will then sort it by the cheapest to the most expensive. And your room will be usually at the top, because you will be one of the cheapest. I know that in reality it's not, but in that selection criteria, you will be one of the cheapest. Okay. Sorry. Tip number 3, type of tenants you need to put in your properties. So there are basically 3 categories of tenants you can have. You can have professionals, you can have students, you can have people on benefits. Okay. The first top tip is never mix these 3. So if you got a house full of professional, just get professional. If you got a house just for students, just get student. Don't put professional with students because they live completely different lives and they will annoy each other. Okay. In terms of professional, you can have white collars and blue collar. I personally, I know it sounds, sometimes people say exactly the opposite, but I much prefer the blue collar because people in blue collar, there are people that usually work very, very hard, especially physically. Okay. Then when they go back home, they don't have even the energy to mess around and so on. And the other good tip about that is most of these people, blue collar, they are really good in fixing stuff. So I had for a couple of years blue collars in my houses, and they were fixing every single maintenance themselves. They were calling me and saying, Mr. Giuseppe, the such and such broke, but we fix it. I said, yeah, thank you so much. Can you stay in my house for the rest of your life, please? Because I love that. Okay. So don't think that you always need to look for, somebody with a 3 degrees and a PhD. Most of the times, in fact, I had much more problems with white collars than with blue collars. Okay. Then the students, I've got some houses with students, but I don't get first year and second year students. And the reason for that is because first year students, they used to live with mom and dad till 2 minutes before getting to your house, and they don't know even how to operate it. They look at the washing machine and say, what is that stuff there? I say, oh, that's what your mom has been using for the last 18 years. And now you need to learn how to use it. Okay, so you need to kind of babysit them a little bit. Second year students, they tend to do still a huge amount of parties. They know how to operate the washing machine at that point, but they are still very heavy in parties. So I don't want to be called by the police, my neighbors, on a regular basis. So the houses where I've got students, I've got only mature students, or last year student, third year student, or my favorite one are the PhD students. Okay, this one for me are the best students on the planet because they've done all the parties and so on, and they are really keen to finish their PhD because then they want to go into work mode and be professional. Okay, so and then there are the people on allowance, on a house allowance. This is at the moment massive business market. Councils are desperate to find single landlord or private landlords who can give them the houses to house people on housing allowances. I personally decided not to go into that market. Reason for that is because people who are in that situation, most of the times not because of their fault, but they come into the house with a lot of, mental problems, background problems, and so on. So it's emotionally very challenging and draining, and I am not prepared. I'm not skilled enough to do that. So I decided not to be in that market. But as I said, if you are prepared to do that, if you are skilled enough to cope with all of that, this is a massive market to go. But the key thing, as I said, you need to make sure is don't mix and match these 3 types of tenants. So you might have several properties with different types. So I've got properties with professional, property with students, but never property with both of them in it. Okay? Any questions so far? Meantime, I need to blow my nose, unfortunately. Put some question in the chat in the meantime if you want. And again, apologies again for my health situation today, but as I said at the beginning, I didn't want to cancel it. So you just need to cope with me with a little bit more breaks. Okay, so 4 tips. Tips number 4. How did I improve my success rate of my viewings from 50% to 95%? So when I started 11 years ago, what I used to do is every time somebody was calling me or my team for one of the properties or the rooms that I had advertised on millions per room, I didn't ask any questions. I just say, when do you want to view it? And then we discovered that after 6 months, we discovered that the success rate of our viewing was around 50%, which is, I think, it's very, very poor, very rubbish. And I was very surprised because my properties in general, they're really nice. So I really could understand why we didn't have a higher success rate. So what we decided to do in the second 6 months of the first year, we decided to start logging the reason for rejection of our rooms. And after 6 months, we analyzed all the data. As you can see, I'm a data person. When I was working for Shell, I was a data manager at global level. So I really believe in the value of data, in the power of data. So I take all my decisions based on data. And what the data told me is that there were a lot of things that I could have preempted, I could have solved and clarified before even going to the viewing. And so what we decided to do is, since then, every time somebody calls us to do a viewing, before we allow that person to do a viewing, we ask some clear questions. And these are the questions on the screen here. And you might be surprised by this question. So the first question is, what date do you need to move in by? Okay. And I know this sounds a really silly question, but what I discovered is a lot of people were coming to my houses. Usually my rooms were advertised one month before they were available. Okay. Because my tenants usually give me between 4 and 6 weeks notice period. So I've got all that time to advertise the property before losing money. And I had a lot of people coming to do viewing, and they say, yeah, I love it. I can move next weekend. I said, well, actually, as it's written by advert, the house is available in 3, 4, 5 weeks time. So obviously that viewing was completely waste. Okay. The second one, and that is something that really annoyed me, people were coming into the house and they say, oh, it's too far from where I need to work or where I need to go every day. I said, well, there is something on this mobile phone that is attached to your hand all the time. It's called Google Maps, okay? Or on the iPhone, just Maps, okay? Did you put in Google Maps the postcode of my house and the postcode to where you need to go every single morning and see if the distance is acceptable by you? If during the call they tell us, no, we have not done that exercise, we close the call at that moment. So, okay, the call stops here, do that exercise. If you are happy with the results, call us back, okay? And few people don't call us back, okay? But can you see, just with a simple question on the phone, we have not now wasted time to go to the property, open the door, and so on, waste half an hour or whatever for something that, you know, just with a simple exercise on this mobile phone can be solved. The third one is, and this is more for professional. When you've got professional, you need to understand the work shift because, yeah, as I said, you want to have all professional in one house or all students. But if you've got only professional, you also need to understand where they work. Do they work daytime or do they work nighttime? Because if some of them work daytime and some of them work nighttime, then again, they would disturb each other because they live in completely different time zone. So if I've got a house where everybody works 9 to 5, if somebody wants to view the property and say, I work during the night, I say, well, unfortunately, this is not a house for you because everybody in my house, in that house, works 9 to 5 during the day. Okay, so that's why it's very, very important to ask that question. This is question number 4. This is the most difficult one. So what is the reason why they're moving? And 90% of the time, the reason is very clear. So they say, well, I'm moving from one city to another, or I was living with my parents and now I got a job and I'm moving there, or I broke up from my partner, so I'm out of the house, blah, blah, blah. So there are a lot of, acceptable reasons, which are absolutely fine. The only time when you need to have a doubt and where, a red flag should pop up in your head is when I say, I don't get on very well with my current flatmates or housemates. And then at that point, you really need to ask yourself, is this guy so unlucky that all the other 4 flatmates, housemates are so annoying with him, or is he the annoying person? Because what you really don't want to do is you don't want to get an annoying person into your house, and that person will disrupt the nice atmosphere that you have been building with the current tenants. Okay, so if somebody tells us, I don't get on with my current housemates, we usually tend to find an excuse not to go ahead with this viewing because I don't want to take any risk. Okay, and the last one that we ask is we ask the age and the nationality, because again, you want to create an environment which is quite similar. If you put a Japanese person with an Italian, we live completely different lifestyles. If you put a 20 years old person with a 50 years old person, again, they live completely different lifestyle. So you want to have people all in the same decade, so between 20 and 30, 30 and 40, and all in the same area of the world, so south of Europe, north of Europe, America, and something like that. So you cluster them in zone of the planet and for age groups, and in that way, the likelihood to have problems decreases massively. Okay, so can you see how many things could have gone wrong? Okay, and the last one is, once we ask all these questions, if we are happy with all the questions, then we offer them additional information, because we need to make sure that your prospective tenant is also happy with the house. So we tell them who lives in the house, the number of bathrooms, and the bus routes and the shops that are nearby. If at the end of this information, we ask the tenant, the potential tenant, say, are you still happy to view the property? If they say yes, then we go view the property. By that point, your success rate will be very close to 95%. Can you see how many things could have gone wrong? And just asking these 6-7 questions and sharing these 3 or 4 information, then you have massively reduced the amount of wasted time with yourself. Okay. Any comments in the meantime? The last one is the most common objection. So a lot of people will tell you, especially letting agency or old-fashioned landlord, they will say subletting is illegal. And the way you need to respond to that, we say, yes, subletting is illegal unless you use the correct legal framework. So if you use the correct contracts. So the way it should work from a legal point of view is between you and your landlord, you sign what is called common law tenancy agreement, which is basically a management agreement. Okay. And then between you and your tenants, you sign an assured short-term tenancy. Okay. And so this AST is a contract that is signed between you and whoever is going to live physically in the house. While you, who are not going to live in the house, but you are going just to manage the house, you will sign a management agreement with the landlord. So if the landlord tells you, you need to sign an AST, you say, no, I can't, because I'm not going to live in the house, so I cannot sign it. So sometimes you need to educate your landlord. Sometimes they will understand it, sometimes not. But the key information that usually convince them that subletting is not illegal is, I mentioned this company here. This letting agent is called Northwood. This is one of the biggest UK-based letting agents. So they've got offices or branches in most of the high street in a lot of cities in UK. And their business, can you see from the logo, is guaranteed rent. They do rent to rent. So my question to them is, well, if a company like Northwood is allowed to have branches physically open on the high street, how can it be illegal? And again, I say it can only be legal if you use the wrong legal framework and I've just explained to you how you can, solve that problem. Okay. Let's see other questions. Mary, I don't live in the UK. What will be the basic to focus on? So if you don't live in the UK and you want to invest in the UK as a rent-to-rent, what you need to do is you need to find an area where you can, let's say you go to Bristol, just because I used to live there, okay? And you need to create in Bristol a setup of people who can help you. Okay, so you need to have people who can, with boots on the ground, who can open the doors, who can do viewings, who can do the maintenance. And then you need to do, at least at the beginning, you need to go to, in my case, by example, to Bristol and build a relationship with letting agency, landlord, and so on. The other option is you buy joint venture with somebody. So I've got one of my current mentees. She's based abroad in Europe, and she wants to invest rent in UK. And so she is actively looking for a joint venture partner, so with somebody who is physically in the UK, so that person can be the boots on the ground for their business, and together they will work together on the business and growing that business. Okay, but the one and other, you need to have people working locally with you or for you. Okay, so I hope that answer your question, Mary. Okay, so in terms of overcoming common objection, I've created a free resource. If you go, and I write it here in my website, which is rent2rentexpert.com, you will find at the top there are some free resources, okay, and that you can download completely free. And one of them is how to overcome common objection from landlord letting agents. Feel free to download it. This is a document where you got, I think, 22, 23 pages of all the possible objection you may face when you talk with the landlord letting agents. Download this one, okay, memorize it, practice it, and then you will see that your success rate with letting agents and landlord will increase massively. And if you do that, please give me your feedback. So if there is anything you suggest me changing or improving, feel free to give some feedback. But hopefully you will find it very, very useful. Okay. So let me drink a little bit of water. And in the meantime, I write it here, the link for the call you can have with me. So I don't know why the QR code didn't work, but in the link there that I've just put in the chat, if you click on it, you can book your calls with me for the next couple of days. Okay. So apologies again for my noise. So let me give you some examples of rent deals. So this is a house, the way that I found it, 5-bedroom house, license HMO for 6 people, 2 full bathroom, kitchen diner separate with living room, and I needed just to do a very light reform. So can you see how we change it? If you look at the one in the middle, the hallway, we just replaced this very dirty carpet with some laminate, and look how beautiful it looks compared to before. And in the bedrooms, we just change the colors. We put some picture on the wall. In the living room, we just declutter it, and again, we put a lot of punches of colors there that then they will show up in when you advertise your properties. If we look at the numbers, in this case, we receive from our tenants £2,500, a little bit more. We pay to our landlord 1,450. We pay the cleaner. We send the cleaner every 2 weeks, £48, and then we pay all the utilities. Remember, without gas, electricity, we pay £280. We make usually, unless we got extraordinary maintenance, we get around 800 pounds of profit. Okay, and we invested just 4,000 pounds mainly for furniture and a little bit of refurb and some agency fee. And can you see, we got this money back in less than 5 months. So from month 6, it was pure profit. Okay, who would be happy with that one? Put some comments in the chat box. This is another example. This is Ashgrove Avenue. When we got this one here, it was mega cluttered. So a lot of stuff. This is a beautiful conservatory. You have to fly to go through it. Okay, 5-bedroom house for 5 people, 2 bathroom, separate living room. We didn't do any refurb. What we need to do is just to declutter it and just change some furniture and just put some nice furniture. Look at the difference. Okay, this is the same place here. Look at this one here, and look how it looks beautiful. Okay, you don't need to break your bank account. Okay, you just need to find smart things that you can use. I buy a lot of stuff from charity shops, because in that way you pay charity shop prices for something that is good quality. Okay, and let's look at the numbers here. Again, here we get around 2,450 pounds rent every month, and we pay to the landlord 1,400 pounds. Again, we send the cleaner twice a month. We pay utilities 293, excluding gas and electricity again. In this case, we get around 700 pounds per month. We spent 2,500 pounds for furniture. This was directed to a landlord. So we got our money back in just less than 4 months. Okay. This is the one where we spend the most amount of money in terms of reform. And the reason for that is because we knew we could get this one for a long time, because this is a house of one of my friends. So I know that he wanted to give it to us for a long time. And it was in a pretty rubbish condition, but it was all cosmetic. It was not nothing structural. Okay. So look at that one. Just ready, take away all the carpet, put laminate floor, painting everything in white, some colors, put some plants there, some lights, lamps, and stuff like that. It looks completely different house. Let's look at the numbers. Here we get more money. We get almost 3,000 pounds. We pay the land 1,700 pounds. Cleaner, we pay utilities 372. We get almost 900 pounds per month. We spent 9,000 pounds. So it took us almost 10 months, or a little bit more than 10 months, to get the money back. Okay, but we knew that because we accepted that, because I know that the gross profit was higher than the usual, and I could keep it for a long time. And this is the house that I mentioned earlier. This is the house as I found it when I view it. Beautiful. Even the bathroom here. Look at the bath here. Freestanding bath, absolutely stunning. 4-bedroom HMOs. We didn't need to spend anything. And we are making from that house 630 pounds. Okay, so a little bit less than the usual, but initial investment only 500 pounds just for some soft furniture. So we made money from month number 1, and this is exactly what you need to look for. Unfortunately, it happened to me just once in 11 years. So don't get too excited about this one. Okay, but if it happens, you won the lottery. So just to recap, 4 properties, monthly gross profit almost 3,000 pounds, yearly gross profit over 35,000 pounds. This is more than the average salary in UK. And this is only with 4 properties. Who would be happy with this? Put some comments here while I blow my nose. Who would be happy with some numbers like that? Would this number change a little bit your life? Really sorry, guys. Okay, so we got a question from Hilton. How long was the contract with the lender? So the way I teach it is, the first contract, I want to have a 2 years contract. Okay, I know that a lot of people want to have a 5 years contract, but put yourself in the shoes of a lender. He or she will have met you for the first time for half an hour, maybe 2 hours. Okay, and you are asking this person to give you the keys of his assets for 5 years. God knows what is going to happen in the next 5 years. If we look back at the last 5 years, I know that has been quite an eventful 5 years, okay, quite exceptional. But it's too much. With someone, you have not built any relationship. So my approach is always, I want to have a 2 years contract, so I get all my money back from my investment in the first year. In fact, it was between 6 and 9 months of the first year that I make a good profit for at least 14 to 16 months. And during those 2 years, I built a very strong relationship with the lender. Okay. And then after 2 years, if the lender is happy with me, and if you are happy with the lender, because bear in mind that also you need to be happy with the lender, at that point, after 2 years, the relationship is very strong. You have nurtured it every single month with this person. At that point, the trust is already there because you have delivered. Okay. At that point, you say, okay, now we need to renew the contract. At that point, you ask for a 3 years extension. So you will still get Hilton your 5 years contract, but not in one shot. You have got the first 2 years contract, and then if everything goes well, you have got the other 3 years contract. Today, 11 years since I started, I still got a couple of properties which I signed up as a rent-to-rent 11 years ago. I didn't ask for it a 11 years contract, but we renew it now on a cycle of 3 years all the time, and we start with 2 years. Okay, I hope it answers your question, Hilton. And Oksana, yeah, I agree with you. This 35,892 will change the life of a lot of people. And this is only with 4 properties, okay? So I hope you find my presentation useful. As you know, I'm a mentor as well. And how can I help you guys? One way to do it is, first of all, understand my background. I've got, as I hopefully you have understood now after more than a year, I've got a very in-depth hands-on rent-to-rent experience. I've been managing and running my rent-to-rent business every single day since November 2014. And I will give you a step-by-step guide to setting up your business. I will give you everything. I will give you a business in the box, and I will make you accountable. So I will take you out of your comfort zone. You will need to report back to me every week, in fact, twice a week, and tell me what you have achieved and what you have not achieved. Okay? So you are the right mentee for me if you are ready to be taken out of your comfort zone. If you are not ready, I'm not the mentor for you. Okay? And in terms of what I'm going to coach you is everything from the setup to the scaling up. And then can you see every single bullet point is a module of my mentoring. So we go through everything from how to set up a business, going through how to find the right area to invest, how to talk properly to letting agency, a lender, to everything else, property management, tenant management, marketing, and at the end, how to scale up. So that then you can, if you want to do so, you can do as I do it, which is you can scale it up, and also you can manage your business from somewhere else. As today, I'm physically in a different country to where my portfolio is. Okay. As I said, what is included in my programs? 30 minutes clarity call. I'll teach you all these tutorials. You can learn them in a different way. I will explain it in 5 minutes. You will join twice a week, every Monday, every Thursday, mastermind Q&A session with me. You will have access to a closed rent-to-rent expert community on Facebook, and I give you a business in the box. every single negotiation script, contract, template, everything that I use every single day. So I know that it works. I've been using it myself for my own rent-to-rent business. And then you can ask me any question. I live on WhatsApp, so you can catch me at all the time. These are some reviews. If you Google rent-to-rent expert, you can find reviews. These are some of my ex-clients, and I'm very chuffed about what they wrote. I think there are 17, 18 reviews at the moment. And these are my programs. So it's platinum, gold, and silver. They are all 6 months program. The content is exactly the same, what I put in 2 slides ago. The only difference between them is the way you will learn the modules. So in the platinum one, I will teach you one-to-one on Zoom every single module. In the gold one, it's more for somebody who has already got some background information about or news, or attended a 1 or 2 days course on rent-to-rent, but he wants me to teach 3 modules one-to-one, and all the other modules, they will learn them online. And then the silver is the most popular one at the moment, where people say, "Oh, I don't need you, Giuseppe, to teach us live. We go on the platform where I've got all my modules, and you will self-study. And at the end of each module, there are tasks that you need to do. And then you can use the live group coaching session twice a week to ask me any questions." Okay? The prices are £300 for the silver, 500 for the gold, and £700 per month for the platinum. As I said, minimum 6 months. Okay, if you pay 6 months in advance, you get an additional 10% discount. Okay, so that's the end. I hope that you find it useful, and I hope you find my presentation interesting, useful, and inspiring. But now it's time for you guys to ask me questions. So I stop using my silly accent and my cold. Please ask any questions. In the meantime, I put it here again, the link if you want to book any clarity call with me for the next couple of days. But yeah, apologies, I've overrun a little bit. Any additional question? I think I went through every single question that was written in the chat box. But any other additional question you guys want to ask me? Don't be shy. It's your time for you to ask. Hey, Darren, excellent. Thanks for joining. And yeah, come over and visit us. And then we can talk about property here. Okay. Thanks, Darren. So what is your average churn rate on property? So my tenants stay minimum 6 months. And I would say the vast majority of them, they stay at least 9 months. I've got some exception. I've got a few tenants have been in our properties, our rooms, one of them for 3 years and a couple of them for over 2 years. And I always joke with them and say, well, you don't want to live in your own house. I say, well, no, I love living with other people. Your houses are beautiful. You are a great property manager. So I don't see the reason why I need to move somewhere else. I would say, as an average, if you factor in that every 6 to 9 months, your tenants move on. That's a realistic average churn rate. And obviously, at the beginning, for the first 6 months, you will not have a lot of changes because, as I said, people will stay at least 6 months. But then when you build a portfolio, you might look for tenants every single month or every single week. But that's a good problem to have because that means that at that point, so you will have a big, large portfolio. And, that's the complexity that comes with that. Anita, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Any other questions? Oksana, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you found it useful. Any other questions? don't be shy. I'm sure you've got other questions in mind. As I said, if you want to book a call with me, I put the link here. I just put it back again here. Feel free to book it. And yeah, so apologies for my accent is even stronger than usual because of my block nose. But hopefully you guys will have understood what I said in the last hour and a half. But I personally really enjoyed this presentation, so hopefully you guys as well. Okay, the last attempt to ask for question. Anything else? Otherwise, we can close it here. What is going to happen next is you will get an automated email with a recording of this call, of this presentation, so you can replay it. Feel free to forward that one to any of your friends or family who might be interested in that one. As I said, if you want to have a more detailed, a deep conversation with me, use this link here and book a call with me today or tomorrow. Yeah, keep in touch. We are connected most of the times on Facebook and LinkedIn, and follow me, and hopefully we will get in touch soon together. Okay, so if there are no further questions, let's close it here. Thanks again for joining today, and have a lovely rest of your evening. Take care to everyone. Bye-bye.